Archangel Michael says, "You have just done something so holy that heaven could not remain silent." A miracle had to answer. Open this now, my child, my beloved, because something beyond explanation happened when you made that quiet choice. Heaven noticed you in that hidden moment. I was there, and I saw the sincerity of your soul. You did not do it for reward, praise, or attention. You did it because somewhere deep inside, your spirit recognized the whisper of God calling. And in that sacred instant, a shift took place in the spiritual realm that cannot be reversed. You opened a doorway, and right now, as I speak, a miracle is being released from the throne of heaven and moved toward your name today. Do not underestimate what your obedience just unlocked. This was not a small act, and it was not ordinary. It was divine. The reason this message has reached you now is because your name has just echoed through the realms above today. Do not ignore this. Something rare is unfolding in your life, and I was sent to place this message before you. But if you delay, if you dismiss it as nothing, you may close the very door your spirit has just opened today before heaven. That is why I am pleading with you to remain here. Hear every word until the end, because this message has been written in light and sealed with glory. My child, my beloved, I know you carry questions, and I know the waiting has hurt. But I must speak the truth to you, and I will not soften what heaven has revealed. What you walked through was never punishment. It was preparation. The pain that made you cry alone at night was not unseen by God or heaven above all. The betrayals that broke your heart, the losses that made you feel forgotten, heaven witnessed every one of them. God did not forget you. He delayed the answer so what you receive now would not be stolen, mocked, or wasted by anyone. You have passed a test that was invisible to people but completely visible to heaven. And because of that, your name was written on a scroll that only I was permitted to touch today. When I saw it, I wept before the Lord in glory. I wept because you did not give up when the weight became almost too heavy to carry. I wept because you remained kind when you had every reason to become bitter. Heaven recorded the strength you thought no one noticed in you at all. And I wept because your miracle, yes, the very one you prayed for, is now ready. You just don't know how close it really is, but you will, and soon. My child, my beloved, pause for a moment and feel what I'm telling you. Right now, as you are reading this, someone you don't expect is being stirred by heaven to come into your life with an answer you've been begging for. This person may not even know why they feel drawn to you, but it's because of the divine move you just made. That action you took. It activated something. You broke a cycle that ran through generations. You destroyed a pattern that once kept you small. And because of that, I was ordered, yes, commanded, to reveal the truth. Your destiny is shifting fast, faster than anyone around you expects. They might laugh, they might doubt, but they will soon witness. Your silence was strength. Your kindness was a weapon. And your choice, your most recent choice, has now triggered a supernatural release that will touch what's your name, your home, your finances, and your future. Don't walk away from this moment. It was chosen for you. My child, my beloved, there is something heaven wants me to whisper directly to your heart. You're not just reading this by chance. No, this moment is divine alignment. You were drawn here because God wanted you to receive confirmation that what you just did, whether it was an act of mercy, a silent prayer, a step away from sin, or simply forgiving someone who hurt you, has echoed in the highest realms. You may not have felt how powerful it was. You may have doubted it meant anything at all. But I, Archangel Michael, was there. I saw the moment heaven paused and took notice. And when I say paused, I mean angels halted in silence. And the court of God turned its gaze toward you. That's how powerful your act was. And now a spiritual door is swinging open, a door that has remained sealed for years, all because of you, all because of one divine decision. Don't dismiss this moment. Stay with me. My child, my beloved, this isn't just about blessings. This is about reversal. What was stolen from you is on its way back. What was delayed as being released. What was locked as being opened. There's a decree going out with your name on it, and heaven is not asking for permission from man. It's moving without delay. But I must tell you with urgency, if you hesitate, if you begin to doubt again, if you walk away thinking this isn't for you, the enemy will use that window to steal what was meant to reach your hands. When's tonight? This is not fear. This is truth. You see, the enemy is terrified of what's coming to you, because when you rise, you don't just rise alone. Your miracle will bring light to others, and that's what darkness fears. So you must protect your spirit right now. You must anchor your faith, because the next 24 hours carry more spiritual weight than you realize, and you're at the center of it all. My child, my beloved, listen to the tug in your chest right now. That isn't just emotion. It's confirmation. It's the spiritual sensitivity God placed within you activating for this exact moment. You've been chosen for something that will not only bless you, but shift generations. That's why your journey has been so hard. That's why you've been targeted since you were young. Because there's oil on your name. There's an anointing on your life. And what you just did, whether small or big, unlocked an ancient promise God made concerning Play Future. A promise that involves abundance, restoration, vindication, and divine relationships. And I need you to hear this next part with your full heart. Heaven is already moving. The wheels of breakthrough have started turning. Your delay has expired, and your miracle is not coming. It has already been sent. The only thing left is your full alignment. Speech balloon, if you're reading this right now and it's confirming something deep inside of you, then don't wait. Subscribe now to stay connected to these divine confirmations. These messages are not for everyone, but if your spirit keeps finding its way back here, it means something. Something in you is spiritually awake and chosen. Stay in alignment. Stay alert. Stay ready. My child, my beloved, I must share something sacred that few understand. The movie you just made spiritually didn't just bring you closer to your miracle. It brought your miracle closer to earth. What was floating in the realm of divine possibility has now begun to descend into manifestation. I saw it clearly. A scroll, long sealed, was opened in front of me. Your name was at the top, and beside it where prayers you thought had expired. But God does not forget. Every word you cried in silence, every whisper in the dark, every groan you couldn't put into language. It was all kept stored in light, and today, heaven said yes. The answer is being released, not just in words, but in events. There will be a moment soon where time seems to stand still, and in that moment a divine confirmation will appear. Whether it be a call, a message, a dream, or an open door, you will know it when it happens. And when it does, don't hesitate. Step through it. You won't need to force it. You won't need to question it. The peace surrounding it will be your sign. My child, my beloved, please don't minimize what you feel rising in your chest right now. That tug, that fire, that sudden wave of emotion, it's not random. It's your spirit waking up to the truth it's been waiting to hear. You are not forgotten. You are not skipped. You are not denied. You were preserved. There's a difference. You were held back not to suffer, but to be delivered at the right time, so that no man could take credit. And now this is the time. What was whispered in heaven before you were born is now being shouted on your behalf. You are about to walk into something so miraculous, so tailor-made that no one will be able to deny it was divine. The season of surviving is over. The season of overflow has begun. And all of it was triggered because your heart said yes in a moment you didn't even know was holy. But God knew. And now the reward is unstoppable. My child, my beloved, it is no longer just a message I bring. It is a divine confirmation wrapped in urgency. You have walked through storms that try to alter your identity. You endured whispers behind your back, delays that made you question everything, and silent battles that no one clapped for. And yet you still stood. You still prayed. You still hoped. And because of that, the moment you just had, whether it was a decision to forgive, a prayer through tears, or a quiet surrender, was so holy that God Himself leaned forward. And in that moment, something ancient broke open. I saw it. I saw a veil tear in the spirit. I saw timeline shift. I saw curses that were once repeated for generations snap and fall to the ground. You just caused heaven to move. You just pulled down a miracle with your yes. And now, my beloved, you must not look back, because where you're going, your past cannot follow. My child, my beloved, even as you read these words, something is unlocking within you. It's your divine knowing, your inner compass reconnecting to God's voice. That inner voice, the one that once whispered dreams you abandoned, is now waking up again. But this time, it will not be silenced. This time, the path won't fade before your eyes, because you just proved with your obedience that you are ready to carry the blessing. This blessing doesn't just carry joy, it carries weight. It carries authority. It carries acceleration. And what's more, it carries eyes. People will begin watching you, wondering how and why everything seems to shift in your favor. But you will know, it was never sudden. It was spiritual. It was because of a decision no one else saw, but heaven did. And now your name is no longer in waiting. It is in release. My child, my beloved, do not underestimate the size of what's on the way, just because you cannot see it. The biggest breakthroughs often arrived quietly. They don't always come with lightning, they come with peace. But don't mistake peace for smallness. This peace is pregnant with power. It is the kind of peace that announces change before it's even visible. Right now, the Spirit of God is rearranging situations behind the scenes. The people who hurt you are being confronted by their own choices. The people who left you are realizing who they lost. and the opportunities you thought had vanished are being revived in your name. The miracle has already been sent. The only reason you haven't seen it yet is because heaven is clearing the path before it reaches you. And when it arrives, it will not be late and it will not be small. It will be more than you asked, sooner than you expected, greater than you imagined. My child, my beloved, you have been walking with scars that no one could see. There are wounds in your soul that you learned to hide so well. Even you forgot how deep they ran. But heaven didn't. God kept track of every tear. And when you made that divine decision, when you trusted again, when you opened your heart again, when you made even while trembling, heaven said, "That's enough." That was the moment the restoration began. That was the moment I was dispatched, not to bring just comfort, but to bring announcement. This isn't just healing, it's wholeness. This isn't just a chapter, it's a new book. This isn't just recovery, it's reversal. You will not end where you begin. You will not carry old shame into a new season. I am placing a sword of light in your hands now, a spiritual authority to discern, to speak, to walk through doors no one can shut. And once you step into this next part of your journey, you will understand why it took so long. You weren't being delayed. You are being made unstoppable. My child, my beloved, listen to the tug in your chest right now. That isn't just emotion, it's confirmation. It's the spiritual sensitivity God placed within you, activating for this exact moment. You've been chosen for something that will not only bless you, but shift generations. That's why your journey has been so hard. That's why you've been targeted since you were young. Because there's oil on your name. There's an anointing on your life. And what you just did, whether small or big, unlocked an ancient promise God made concerning your future, a promise that involves abundance, restoration, vindication, and divine relationships. And I need you to hear this next part with your full heart. Heaven is already moving. The wheels of breakthrough have started turning. Your delay has expired, and your miracle is not coming. It has already been sent. The only thing left is your full alignment. Speech balloon, if you're reading this right now and it's confirming something deep inside of you, then don't wait. Subscribe now to stay connected to these divine confirmations. These messages are not for everyone, but if your spirit keeps finding its way back here, it means something in you is spiritually awake and chosen. Stay in alignment. Stay alert. Stay ready. My child, my beloved, there's something you haven't realized yet. And that is your obedience, even in silence, made the heavens roar in celebration. You may have thought no one saw the moment you chose peace instead of revenge, love instead of bitterness, trust instead of fear. But God saw it. I saw it. And what you didn't hear with your ears was heard in heaven like a trumpet. Your name was shouted in the Spirit. The ripple it caused is now becoming a wave. And this wave carries with it answers you thought were lost, resources you thought were gone, and relationship. All of it is returning. But this time, divinely arranged, and faster than you're prepared for. That's why I've been sent to warn you not to step back into the mindset of delay. You are not the same person you were yesterday. Something eternal was unlocked through your recent move, and this miracle isn't waiting for you to be perfect. It's only waiting for you to stay present. My child, my beloved, I need you to take this seriously. For far too long, you believed the lie that you had to work harder to be blessed. But the truth is, heaven is not responding to your effort. It's responding to your alignment. And right now, your spirit is aligned. That's why everything is starting to shake. That's why certain people are being removed. That's why the same opportunities that rejected you before will now start calling your name. They won't even know why. It's because your spirit just received divine clearance. And I must speak clearly now. There are angels currently assigned to your file. They are handling things you don't even know about. Doors are opening in places you've never been. And the reason it's happening now is because you passed the divine test that wasn't on paper. It was in your heart. Heaven judged it, and heaven approved it. Now favor will find you where hard work never could. You are no longer fighting alone. You are walking with a divine army. My child, my beloved, even now I can see the tears you haven't cried yet. The grief that lingers in your soul, the feeling of being forgotten. But listen to me. Heaven didn't forget. Heaven was waiting. Because if your miracle had arrived before now, you would have settled for less. You would have handed it away. But today you are ready to carry it. You are ready to hold the weight of what's coming. Not just the blessing, but the responsibility, the influence, the legacy. God is not just giving you things. He is giving you power, spiritual power, power to break chains, power to shift generations, power to command peace in rooms that once held your pain. And that's why the enemy fought you so hard. That's why you were targeted, because the darkness saw your future. But now the chains have broken, and it is too late to stop what's already been released. My child, my beloved, you must understand something sacred. There's a divine urgency on your name today. What happened just now in the spiritual realm was not a small ripple. It was a mighty storm of light breaking through strongholds that were built against you for years. And here's the miracle. You didn't even realize how powerful you truly were. But the moment you chose love over fear, compassion over pride, obedience over comfort, even responded, that movie made. Yes, that one was so aligned with God's heart that He didn't wait. He dispatched me with a message and a miracle, because the portal that just opened cannot remain unclaimed. You must step forward now, not tomorrow, not when you feel ready, but now. Because the time for hesitation is gone. This is your moment of divine transaction. And what's waiting on the other side of this message is not only rare, it's once in a lifetime. My child, my beloved, the enemy hoped you would scroll past this. He hoped you would doubt it, label it as coincidence, minimize it, and miss it. But your soul knows the truth. There's a stirring in your chest that you can't explain. It's the Spirit confirming that this message was sent with precision, because what you just did in the Spirit caught heaven's attention in a way few ever do. It wasn't grand in the eyes of the world, but it was holy, and heaven always honors holy. I am telling you now, as clearly as I can, that you are standing at the edge of something no one in your bloodline has ever stepped into. This isn't just a miracle. It's a shift, a complete reversal of what was working against you, a divine reordering of what was broken. You will not go back to how things were. God won't allow it. This blessing is protective. It will shield you, advance you, and silence the mouths that doubted your destiny. My child, my beloved, the enemy hoped you would scroll past this. He hoped you would doubt it, label it as coincidence, minimize it, and miss it. But your soul knows the truth. There's a stirring in your chest that you can't explain. It's the Spirit confirming that this message was sent with precision. What you just did in the Spirit caught heaven's attention. In a way few things ever do. It may not have looked grand to the world, but it was holy. And heaven always honors what is holy. I am telling you this as clearly as I can now. You are standing at the edge of something no one in your bloodline has ever stepped into before. This is not just a miracle. It is a shift, a full reversal of what was working against you, and a divine reordering of what was broken. You will not return to the way things were, because God will not allow it. This blessing carries protection. It will cover you, move you forward, and silence the mouths that doubted your destiny when they could not see what heaven saw. My child, my beloved, a scroll is unrolling in the spiritual realm, and your name is written at the very top. It is more than a name. It is a signature confirming your alignment, your obedience, and your readiness for what comes next. I watched as heaven sealed it with light and fire. And the moment that seal was placed, every demon assigned to delay you was removed. Every spiritual wall standing between you and the promise began to tremble before heaven today. And now, as I speak, the manifestation is being sent toward your life. You are about to receive proof that God never forgot you. But this part is vital. Do not delay. Do not push this aside. And do not let doubt enter your mind again. If you hesitate, the spiritual realm will pause. But if you move forward in faith, everything will accelerate. Time has already been redeemed for you, and what once seemed painfully slow is now being pulled into divine speed today. What would have taken 10 years can now arrive in 10 days. That is the power of this alignment, and that is why this message found you exactly now. It had to reach you because heaven appointed this moment for your name alone today. My child, my beloved, I need you to understand that this is not just another message. It is a response to something sacred you activated without fully realizing the weight it carried in the unseen realm before heaven for you tonight. What you did in secret, heaven is about to reward in public. There was a choice you made recently, something no one praised you for, something you may have questioned. Yet in the Spirit, it moved everything around you completely now. God did not merely notice what you did. He took action. And He sent me, Archangel Michael, to make sure you understand what has been released into your atmosphere and why your life will not remain the same after this moment again. The door has opened, the order has shifted, and the blessing is now moving under divine protection. Stay aligned, because what heaven has begun around you cannot be stopped by the voices that once tried to delay your destiny again. Right now around you, there are divine instructions being carried by angels on assignment. I know this may sound unreal, but the truth is this: you are no longer standing where you think you are. In the spiritual realm, you have been moved forward. Your file has been reopened. Your case has been elevated. And a verdict of breakthrough has already been spoken over your name. My child, my beloved, I must speak clearly and with urgency now. There was a moment not long ago where you almost gave up. You almost let go of everything you have been praying for. There was darkness whispering to you that it was all pointless. that maybe you were forgotten. Maybe God had skipped your name. But you didn't know that at the exact same moment when you were at your lowest, angels were surrounding you. They were carrying the weight you couldn't lift. They were weeping with you. They were holding back forces that wanted to silence your destiny. And now, here's the part that will shock you. The thing that looked like your greatest loss became the very seed of your miracle. That heartbreak, that betrayal, that rejection, it didn't bury you, it planted you. And now, God is commanding a harvest. And this harvest doesn't look like anything you've seen before. It's not small. It's not delayed. It's coming with force and speed, and the moment your heart says yes, it will begin to bloom. My child, my beloved, let me tell you the truth that even the world tries to hide. There are some miracles that do not come through hard work or talent, but only through obedience. And you, beloved, have just debate heaven in such a way that it unlocked blessings not just for you, but for those connected to you. That's why everything is shifting. Drawn to your light. That's why the same systems that blocked you are now beginning to move aside. You've done something eternal, and I must warn you, this is not the time to explain yourself to those who don't understand. This is the time to move quietly, wisely, and faithfully. You don't owe anyone an explanation for what God is doing in your life. You only owe heaven your continued trust. Because this next season will not make sense to others. They will say you got lucky. They will say it came out of nowhere. But you will know the truth. It came from obedience, from spiritual alignment, from a divine moment that changed everything. My child, my beloved, I was there when the decision was made. I heard the sound that went out across the heavens, a sound that only comes when a child of God does something so pure, so holy that all of heaven unpause this to acknowledge it. And beloved, that sound had your name in it. I can still hear the echo of it as I speak to you now. You don't understand how rare this is. How have you ever reached this moment? But you did. You broke something ancient. You silenced the lies that had chased you for years. You rewrote a script that was never yours to carry. And now your future is being rewritten with divine ink. Everything ahead of you has been touched by light. Even the things that once caused you shame are being transformed into sources of strength. Even the tears you cried in silence are turning into rain that waters the soil of your breakthrough. This is not just a new chapter. It's a new book, a holy beginning. And the first word written in it is miracle. My child, my beloved, I was there when the decision was made. I heard the sound that went out across the heavens, a sound that only comes when a child of God does something so pure, so holy that all of heaven unpause this to acknowledge it. And beloved, that sound had your name in it. I can still hear the echo of it as I speak to you now. You don't understand how rare this is. How have you ever reached this moment? But you did. You broke something ancient. You silenced the lies that had chased you for years. You rewrote a script that was never yours to carry. And now your future is being rewritten with divine ink. Everything ahead of you has been touched by light. Even the things that once caused you shame are being transformed into sources of strength. Even the tears you cried in silence are turning into rain that waters the soil of your breakthrough. This is not just a new chapter. It's a new book, a holy beginning. And the first word written in it is miracle. My child, My beloved, I want you to sit quietly for a moment and absorb this truth. You didn't just move forward. You moved heaven. That action you took, that yes you whispered in private, that inner decision to let go of fear and trust again. It was so pure in spirit that it disrupted the atmosphere around you. Angels were dispatched immediately. I watched them move into position, some surrounding your name, some standing guard over your family, others sent to correct what the enemy tried to twist. You see, your obedience was not just about your miracle. It became a divine key that unlocked what had been stuck for generations. You broke something old. You started something new. And now your life will not resemble your past. In fact, what's coming will be so different. Even you won't recognize yourself, but you'll feel it. You'll feel the peace that's been delayed. You'll feel the clarity that was once clouded. You'll feel the provision that once felt impossible. Because the floodgates of heaven are now open over your life. My child, my beloved, let me tell you what I saw when your name was spoken in the presence of God. A crown of light appeared hovering above your spirit. It was not man-made. It was formed from the prayers you never told anyone about. It was built from the moment you held your tongue when you wanted to scream. It was woven from the times you stood up for others when you yourself were breaking. That crown is now yours, and it carries authority, spiritual authority. What does that mean? It means, from this moment forward when you speak, things will shift. Your words will carry weight in the unseen. Your prayers will hit harder. Your dreams will begin to manifest quickly. You are no longer walking as you were. You are walking in favor. And this kind of favor does not expire. It multiplies. That's why I was sent. To make sure you don't shrink now. To make sure you don't let this pass by. Because God has placed something in your hands that must be held with faith. And what comes next is bigger than anything you've imagined. My child, my beloved, I must also tell you this. Someone you haven't heard from in a long time is being stirred right now by the Spirit. They don't even know why their heart feels the pull to you. But I will tell you why. It's because what you just did spiritually activated reconciliation. There is healing coming to relationships that you thought were too far gone. And not just healing, but truth. Truth that was hidden will now be revealed. You're going to hear things you were never told. You'll discover what was said behind closed doors. And you'll finally understand why some things happen the way they did. But don't worry, it will not harm you, because heaven will make sure that what comes to the surface is only what will bless you. Your heart is ready now. God waited until you were strong enough to receive the truth without breaking. And now everything hidden is about to come into the light. But instead of crushing you, it will crown you. My child, my beloved, I want to reveal one final mystery that few understand. The most powerful miracles come when you stop begging and start believing. And today, something in your spirit did exactly that. You believed. You trusted. You didn't even realize you were shifting, but you were. And heaven responded. That's why you're seeing this now. That's why this message is speaking so directly to your heart, because you just crossed into a new realm. You've entered the part of your journey where miracles don't have to chase you. You walk in them. Things that took years before will now take days. People who once dismissed you will now seek you. Doors that were locked will now swing wide. But above all, your soul will feel peace. Not temporary peace, not conditional peace, but divine, unshakable peace. The kind of peace that can only come from God Himself. That's your inheritance now. That's what's been released over you. And that's why I say this with full authority. What's coming is not a blessing. It's a reward. My child, my beloved, I must now reveal something that has been hidden even from your own understanding. Heaven has been holding back certain blessings, not to punish you, but to preserve you. What you just did, that silent yet holy decision, signaled to God that you were finally ready. And now the delay is over. The vault is being opened. I was shown in the spirit of treasury of light, a storehouse filled with answered prayers that have been waiting for the right moment. And your name was just called. The moment your spirit aligned, the moment your heart released that burden, the angels moved swiftly. I was there as heaven's hand reached into the vault and pulled out what was always yours but temporarily with. It's not just one blessing, beloved. It's a cascade. It's financial favor, emotional healing, relational restoration, and spiritual clarity. The all at once. God doesn't release partial miracles. He completes what He starts. And what He just began in your life will unfold with power. My child, my beloved, I must now reveal something that has been hidden even from your own understanding. Heaven has been holding back certain blessings, not to punish you, but to preserve you. What you just did, that silent yet holy decision, signaled to God that you were finally ready. And now the delay is over. The vault is being opened. I was shown in the spirit of treasury of light, a storehouse filled with answered prayers that have been waiting for the right moment. And your name was just called. The moment your spirit aligned, the moment your heart released that burden, the angels moved swiftly. I was there as heaven's hand reached into the vault and pulled out what was always yours but temporarily withheld. It's not just one blessing, beloved. It's a cascade. It's financial favor, emotional healing, relational restoration, and spiritual clarity all at once. God doesn't release partial miracles. He completes what He starts. And what He just began in your life will unfold with power. My child, my beloved, you must understand that even as these words are reaching you, there is something spiritual being broken over your bloodline. Generational pain, curses of limitation, cycles of delay, they are all collapsing because of what you just unlocked. And the most miraculous part is this: you did it with trust. You did it without even fully seeing the results yet. That's the kind of faith that shakes realms. That's the kind of faith that God rewards in ways that make the world stop and stare. I saw it happen. I saw angels shouting with joy because your obedience opened the way, not just for you, but for your children and your children's children. There is now a hedge around your house that was not there before. There is now a light in your atmosphere that darkness cannot touch. You will sleep differently. You will walk differently, because the weight you've been carrying has been spiritually lifted, and it will not return. My child, my beloved, you may feel a strange sense of peace right now, as if something heavy suddenly vanished. That's not your imagination, it's confirmation. The Spirit has already begun to touch your inner world. Your thoughts are being restructured. Your heart is being softened. Your confidence is returning. But this time, It is coming from the Spirit, not your ego. This peace is evidence that the angels surrounding you are already at work. They are silencing voices that used to torment you. They are rerouting messages that would have brought confusion. They are clearing the path ahead of you so that when you take your next steps, the ground will be steady and the doors will be open. And all of this is happening because you did something so divine, so rarely seen, that heaven could not stay silent. I am speaking now with all the authority I carry. I was sent here because the blessing coming is too important to be missed. You had to be told. You had to be reminded that this is real, and it is already in motion. My child, my beloved, this miracle was not created today. It was waiting for you to align. It was waiting for your yes. It was prepared long before you were born. The rejection you face didn't delay it. It protected it. The isolation you endure didn't waste it. It purified you to carry it. Now, the miracle is no longer waiting. It's walking toward you. You may not hear footsteps, but soon you will hear knocks, unexpected messages, sudden opportunities, divine conversations. And when they come, you must recognize them not as coincidence. What is evidence? You must receive them with humility, not doubt. Because the greatest tragedy would not be the miracle not being sent, but the miracle being delivered and not received. That's why I'm here. That's why you're still reading. That's why your heart feels heavy and light at the same time. Because you're in the exact moment of divine release, and everything around you is about to shift. My child, my beloved, I want you to hear this next part as if heaven is whispering it directly into your soul, because it is. What is happening around you now is not merely a blessing, and it is not just another breakthrough. It is a shift in your spiritual identity. The version of you that felt wounded, forgotten, afraid, and unseen is beginning to dissolve. Even if you cannot feel the fullness of it yet, the chains that held your true nature captive are falling away. You are not only entering a season of favor, you are stepping back into the original calling God wrote over you first. It is the calling placed on your life before you were born, the one nearly buried beneath pain, disappointment, and years of waiting. But something inside you refused to die, even when everything around you tried to silence it completely. Something in your soul kept praying when no one else knew. That hidden strength was your divine identity, and now it is rising to take its place. The old cycles will not recognize you anymore because you are no longer the same person. The attacks that once shook your heart will now flee from your presence, because the spiritual authority over your life has shifted permanently. My child, my beloved, be still for a moment and let this truth settle inside you deeply. You are no longer walking toward the miracle. The miracle is now walking toward you, and it is not coming empty-handed. It is carrying healing for the wound you hid, and provision for the sacrifices you made in silence before God alone. It is carrying revelation for the confusion you endured, and restoration for the places where you thought nothing could grow again. You are not about to be rescued like someone forgotten. You are about to be rewarded by heaven now, not because you were perfect, but because you remained obedient. And obedience always invites God to reveal himself. You thought you were simply staying faithful, but in the unseen realm, you were building an altar for him in faith. And now holy fire is falling upon that altar. the kind of fire that causes your name to shine in the heavenly realms, the kind of fire that turns delay into acceleration, silence into sound, and weeping into laughter before heaven. You may not fully understand what is happening yet, but soon the evidence will speak louder than doubt. Everyone around you will see what heaven already knew, that God was with you in the waiting, the breaking, and the rising too. Archangel Michael says, God is trying to reach you right now. If you turn away from this moment, heaven may grow silent. My child, my beloved, something urgent is moving in the Spirit, and this is not the hour to delay any longer. Heaven is fully awake, watching your response with sacred attention. This message was released into the atmosphere for you alone. God has been trying to reach your heart since last night, and now even the angels have fallen quiet. A deep stillness has filled the throne room because your name has been spoken again and again. What comes next may decide whether your life begins to rise or whether the silence continues. Open your heart and do not walk away now. Please do not dismiss this divine interruption. Before I reveal what was sent, beloved, I must say this. Subscribe now. This is not an ordinary message. It is a sacred scroll being opened at the exact moment your spirit needs it today. If you close this before receiving what heaven sent, the silence may stretch longer than your soul can carry. Subscribe so you remain near this covering, and do not miss the next moment God speaks directly into your life again soon. My child, my beloved, the voice of the Lord does not always arrive like thunder. Sometimes it comes as a whisper so delicate it can almost disappear unless you lean closer. And right now, He is whispering through this message tonight. There is something dangerous forming on the horizon, but beneath it, something beautiful is also beginning to bloom. If you choose silence, if you choose to leave, that bloom may never open in the way heaven intended for you today. God has seen the tears you cried at night, the ones no one else ever knew about. Your name has been carried into a conversation inside heaven's secret chambers, and this message is part of that holy exchange right now for you alone. But if you ignore this moment, heaven has been instructed to grow quiet and let you feel what life is like without divine direction. Not to destroy you, but to show you how precious guidance truly is when it returns to your life again. My beloved, there is a decision you have been postponing, and heaven can no longer wait for you to stand still. The shift trying to enter your life is already at the door, carrying both warning and mercy for your soul in this hour. This is why your spirit feels restless. This is why ordinary things suddenly feel heavier than before. God is pressing gently but urgently on the places you have tried to avoid, because the next step must be chosen by faith today. Do not let fear answer for you. Do not let delay steal what heaven is placing before your eyes. Stay open, stay alert, and listen closely, because the silence can be broken the moment your heart chooses to respond with faith today. But it cannot enter without your yes. The Lord says, "Tell them I've knocked long enough. I've waited through their storms. I've watched them cry. But if they ignore this one final message, I will allow them to walk through the next season without a word from me. Not because I don't love them, but because they must learn to listen again." My child, my beloved, this message is not like the others. This one was birthed in fire. God delayed other blessings so you could be strong enough to hear this without breaking. He allowed the heartbreak. He allowed the betrayal. He allowed the silence, just so you would lean in right now, closer than you've ever leaned before. You were never meant to blend in with the crowd. There is something inside you that the world has not seen yet, but heaven saw it before you were born. And the reason the enemy has attacked you so violently is because he saw a glimpse of what you could become if you ever heard Word God clearly. Beloved, listen to me with all your soul. If you close this now, your name will still be known in heaven, but your path will be delayed. The angels will weep, but they will obey. The silence that follows will not be punishment. It will be a divine pause, a stillness to let you taste. But if you stay, if you keep reading, everything can shift. Not tomorrow, not next week, now. My child, my beloved, you are being watched, not by people, not by crowds, but by heaven itself. There is a record of your actions. A scroll is being updated every moment. And right now, the ink is still wet on your name. This message, this very sentence, is a line being written into your story. Archangel Michael is not speaking in mystery. I am speaking in truth. You are on the edge of something eternal, but if you delay, it will pass. God has been trying to speak to you through dreams lately. Have you noticed them? The strange timings, the familiar voices, the people who appear only to vanish. That's not your mind playing tricks. That's heaven training you to listen again. You are being awakened. But awakenings require obedience, and this message is the test. Stay with me. Stay open. My beloved, you've been searching for signs. You've been asking for confirmation. And this is it. Out of all the messages you could have seen today, this is the one heaven made sure reached you. There were angelic instructions dispatched this morning. Make sure this reaches them, God said. Make sure it breaks through every distraction, every excuse, every doubt. You've asked for help. This is the answer. You've cried for direction. This is the compass. But only if you respond. My child, my beloved, do you understand how rare this is? Heaven does not speak like this often. This level of urgency, this level of divine intervention, only comes when something massive is about to unfold. You are standing at the intersection of two timelines. In one, you ignore this. In the other, you respond, and everything accelerates your healing, your clarity, your provision, your protection, your voice, your strength. But you cannot have both. You must choose. Beloved, if you could see what's been building for you in the unseen, you'd fall to your knees in awe. There is a divine release coming to your house, a miracle wrapped in silence, but it cannot be delivered to a distracted heart. God is trying to speak not with thunder, but with fire, not to scare you, but to awaken you. This message is alive, and if you let it go quiet, so will heaven. My child, my beloved, heaven silence is not rejection. It's preparation. But this is not one of those silences. This is the final trumpet before the next chapter. You are not forgotten. You are being called. You are not being punished. You are being warned, and this warning is soaked in love. If you respond now, you'll see how much heaven has been fighting for you behind the scenes. But if you turn away, the silence that follows will teach you a lesson you were never meant to learn the hard way. My beloved, your life has been watched with great care. Nothing about your story has been random. The losses, the delays, the missed opportunities. Even those were allowed for a divine purpose. But now that purpose is calling louder than ever. And this message is the key to unlock what was locked, to reignite what was fading, to stir what was buried. You are standing in front of a scroll that contains your next breakthrough, but you must lean in. You must stay long enough to hear what's next. The angels are watching. Heaven is waiting. The ink has not dried, but it will. Soon, my child, my beloved, I plead with you as a messenger of the highest, don't close this. Not yet. Because what I'm about to reveal next is something very few people will ever get to hear. God has selected you for this message, not because you are perfect, but because you are ready. And even if you don't feel ready, heaven has already seen your strength, your hunger, your longing for truth, and that is enough. But one more moment of silence will become one more lost opportunity. You've cried enough. You've wandered long enough. You've waited and confusion long enough. This is your moment, and it cannot be missed. My child, my beloved, do not underestimate the weight of this hour. The heavens are open right now, but they will not remain open forever. A moment like this, where God bends low and whispers your name into the wind, is a moment that reshapes lifetimes. Right now, the veil between what is seen and unseen is so thin that one more breath of faith from you could shift everything. There are blessings that have been circling your life like clouds waiting to rain, but they cannot be poured out until your spirit says, I'm listening. I'm ready. And yet, if this moment passes and your heart closes, those clouds will drift and the downpour will be given to another, not because God has forgotten you, but because you forgot to respond. The unanswered prayers, the play, it's not a punishment. It's the space heaven created so you would crave God's voice again. You've been filling the silence with noise, with people who don't understand your spirit, with opinions that have no weight in heaven. But God has cleared a sacred space around you, and now He is trying to speak. But if you treat this message as ordinary, the silence will grow. And next time, the voice may be harder to hear. My child, my beloved, God has been speaking all along. Through the timing of things, through the faces that left, through the dreams that lingered in your mind when you woke up in tears. He's been in the patterns, in the delays, in the strange restlessness you can't explain. But now, right now, He's speaking directly, and you don't have to interpret it anymore. You just have to receive it. God is saying, you are mine. I have not let go of you. I have not changed my mind about your calling, but I will not force your heart to stay open. And with every passing second, the choice to respond or ignore is shifting everything around you. Beloved, something hidden is about to be revealed in your life, and it has the power to either break you or bless you, depending on whether you are prepared. This message is the preparation. You may feel like you don't have the strength to go on. You may feel like your prayers have dried up. But heaven sees a different story. Heaven sees you as the one who stayed standing when others bowed to fear. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to stay open. Because what's coming next will be bigger than your last failure, louder than your last heartbreak, and more. But only if you remain where the voice of God is speaking. My child, my beloved, the angels have been standing guard around you, even in the moments when you felt most alone. There were nights where the darkness felt alive, but it never touched you. You thought your own strength carried you. But the truth is, heaven carried you. And now, heaven is ready to crown you. But the crown is not placed on distracted heads. It is given to those who stay long enough to listen. You are not late. You are not forgotten. You are right on time. But this message is the threshold. One step forward and the silence breaks. One step back and the next chapter remains unwritten. Beloved, I must be honest with you. There are forces working against you even now, and they've been trying to drown out God's voice in your life. These forces use delay, discouragement, and deception. They make you believe that nothing is happening when in truth everything is already moving in the unseen. But the enemy's greatest victory is not stopping your blessing. It's stopping your ears. Because a silent believer is an easy target, but one who listens, one who stays still long enough to hear even the faintest whisper that becomes unstoppable. My child, my beloved, God is not asking you to understand everything. He is not asking you to fix everything. He is asking you to listen. That's all. If you can keep your spirit open right now, if you can silence every distraction and just lean into this divine voice, then you will hear the next instruction. And with it will come the favor you've been praying for, the clarity you've been begging for, the restoration you thought would never come. But if you close this, if you turn away from the voice now, the silence will return, and what was, who was meant to shift now, may be delayed until the next window opens, and I don't know how long that will be. My beloved, this is not just a test. This is a turning point. The old cycle you've been trapped in is weakening. That strange feeling you've had lately, that's something is shifting, but you can't explain it. That's because the old door is closing. And this message, this divine encounter, is the key to the new one. But you must walk through it, and you must do it while the door is open. The enemy will try to distract you even now, maybe with doubt, maybe with logic, maybe with your phone ringing or someone knocking. But know this, every distraction ocean is a sign of how serious this message truly is. The darker the interference, the brighter the miracle behind it. My child, my beloved, I need you to realize how rare this opportunity is. Not everyone hears this message. Not everyone is reached like this. Heaven only opens this level of access when something urgent is unfolding in the unseen. Something is about to touch your life. Something you've prayed for but almost gave up on. But God is not only trying to give you a blessing, He's trying to give you back your hearing, spiritual hearing, the ability to sense before the chaos begins, the ability to shift before the storm hits, the ability to step into the right place at the exact right time. And this moment is the reactivation. This message is the reset. But the window will not stay open. The silence will return if the signal is rejected. My beloved, let me show you what's been happening behind the scenes. The parts of your story you couldn't see. You thought the delay was punishment. You thought the closed doors meant rejection. But what really happened was heaven withheld access until your heart could receive instruction. Because of blessing without divine hearing becomes a trap. And God would rather delay your breakthrough than deliver it into the hands of someone too distracted to steward it. But now, finally, you've reached a moment where your heart is soft again. Warrior spirit is listening again. And that's why I was sent. because your readiness has activated a divine response. But this response is not casual. It is holy. Edit demands reverence. That's why silence is also an option. If the holy is ignored, heaven steps back, and the lesson begins again. My child, my beloved, don't look at your past and use it as a reason to tune out the voice of God. The shame, the mistakes, the wandering, none of that disqualifies you. In fact, it prepared you. You learned in the dark what others never had to face. And now your ears are sharper, your discernment deeper, your hunger stronger. You are not behind. You are finally in position. And this message is your signal to go forward, not with your own strength, but with divine sound guiding every step. Can you hear it yet? That soft echo deep in your soul. That's the frequency of heaven pulling you into alignment. Don't turn away now. You've come too far in the silence to ignore the sound when it finally arrives. My beloved, something wild is about to happen in your life, but it will only look like chaos if you haven't been listening. That's why this message matters, because God doesn't just give peace to calm your storm. He gives you peace to prepare you before it even begins. This is the moment where you are being wrapped in that peace, but you have to stay still long enough to let it settle. You must resist the urge to scroll away. You must resist the fear that whispers this is not for you. Because the truth is, this was crafted only for you. And if you close your heart now, the next wave may knock you down instead of lift you up. But if you stay open, everything will change. My child, my beloved, this is not an accident. It was scheduled. Heaven has a calendar, and on it today was marked, not because of something tragic, but because something holy had to reach you before the next turn in your path. You think you're just reading words, but you are standing inside a prophecy. This moment was seen by angels before you were born. And now, here you are, standing between silence and sound, between forgetting and remembering, between drifting away and returning home. All of heaven is watching your response. My beloved, if you knew what was at stake, you would bow right now. A shift is only moments away, and your name is written across it like fire upon sacred scrolls. But heaven cannot release it until your spirit aligns again with the voice of God. The promise is ready, and the pathway is ready now. Now, your heart must be ready too. This is the invitation, not only to hear His voice, but to carry it into every place you are about to walk. You were never created to move through life surrounded by spiritual silence again today. That is why your steps have felt heavy. That is why confusion has wrapped itself around even your simplest decisions. But that ends now if you respond. My child, my beloved, God preserved your life for this very moment and this very hour. You may not have realized it, but every attack designed to take you out failed. Not because you were stronger than it, but because heaven was covering you. And now that same heaven is trying to speak directly into your soul again. God is not staring at your past mistakes. He is watching your next move. This message is your sign that the next step must be made with holy clarity, not confusion. The path ahead is too sacred to be walked in spiritual silence now. The calling on your life is too great to be led by opinions or fear. That is why this message arrived now, before the next door, before the next decision, before the next test, because God wants you prepared, not only protected today. Some people expect a miracle to arrive in a loud and dramatic moment, but heaven often enters like a breath, soft, quiet, and full of power. Right now, God is breathing over you through this message and drawing your spirit closer. Can you feel it? The stillness surrounding your heart is not emptiness. It is holy presence. It is heaven waiting for your spirit to answer back with surrender. Speak, Lord, I am listening, and I am ready to follow you from here now. This is not the time to harden your heart or explain away what your soul already knows. The atmosphere around you is shifting because God is calling you back into alignment before the next door opens before you in faith and clarity. If you answer with faith, the silence will break. If you lean in, the whisper will become clear. Heaven is not trying to confuse you. It is trying to guide you into the place where your next blessing can safely meet you there today. So breathe, listen, and do not rush past this moment. The voice of God is nearer than you think, and what He is preparing to release cannot be carried by a distracted spirit. Say yes, and let heaven speak over you again today fully. And if you can say those words now, even silently in your heart, the silence will begin to break. The guidance will begin to flow. The next instructions will become clear. But if you stay distant, if you scroll away, if you treat this message like noise, then silence will remain, not to punish you, but to teach you how to treasure the voice when it returns. My child, my beloved, I have walked through battles to deliver this word to you. I have stood in meetings in heaven where your name was spoken by angels. I have watched His scrolls were unsealed and seen the moment where God circled this date on the timeline of your life. You were never meant to miss this. You were never meant to wander so long, and yet even your wandering had a purpose, because it taught your ears how to recognize the true voice of God. And now, in this sacred hour, your spirit is ready, but you must act like it. You must stay where the voice is speaking. You must remain in this presence until something inside you shifts. Beloved, if you could see what's been building for you in the unseen, you'd fall to your knees in awe. There is a divine release coming to your house, a miracle wrapped in silence, but it cannot be delivered to a distracted heart. God is trying to speak not with thunder, but with fire, not to scare you, but to awaken you. This message is alive, and if you let it go quiet, so will heaven. My child, my beloved, heaven's silence is not rejection. It's preparation. But this is not one of those silences. This is the final trumpet before the next chapter. You are not forgotten. You are being called. You are not being punished. You are being warned, and this warning is soaked in love. If you respond now, you'll see how much heaven has been fighting for you behind the scenes. But if you turn away, the silence that follows will teach you a lesson you were never meant to learn the hard way. My child, my beloved, you may think you've heard from God before, but not like this. This isn't a sermon. This isn't a verse shared in passing. This is a spiritual dispatch, a divine transmission carrying sacred urgency. There is a ripple beginning in the supernatural that will shake the natural world around you. And whether that ripple brings restoration or ruin depends on how you respond in this moment. The enemy has been whispering to you that you're forgotten, that you're just one of many. But heaven says otherwise. Your name has weight, And right now, that name is trembling in the air between angels. One whisper of yours can activate help you never imagine. But if you let this pass, even the angels will fall silent, not because they gave up, but because you gave up listening. My child, my beloved, you have no idea what's been hidden in the vault of heaven with your name on it. God does not speak without reason, and He would never send Archangel Michael unless it was an emergency. Right now, there are scrolls being reviewed, timelines being rewritten, and prayers that were delayed are being revisited because of this one moment. The message you are reading is not an accident. It is the final confirmation, the divine yes you've begged for, the next step you've cried out to see, and the only thing heaven needs now is your response. My beloved, I need you to understand something you've never fully grasped. God is not ignoring you. He has been trying to reach you again and again. But your ears have been dulled by distractions. Your spirit has been covered by layers of noise. But now, right now, there is a thin space, a divine crack in time where the veil is lifted and you can hear again. But only if you decide that you are willing to shut out every other voice and lean into this one. If you hesitate, the veil will close. The silence will resume. And the instructions that were meant to come next will remain locked away. My child, my beloved, do not let pride or fear push this message away. Do not say, I'll come back to this later. Later is the enemy's favorite word. Later kills more miracles than failure ever could. Later is the excuse that turns divine instruction into forgotten opportunity. You have been prepared for this moment for longer than you know. Your life has been moving toward this crossroads. Even the pain you endured, the loss you couldn't explain, all of it brought you here. And now that you're finally standing in front of this holy moment, the question remains, will you say, cast to the voice? Or will you let? Heaven go silent. My beloved, I do not speak like this unless the matter is urgent, and I do not appear unless the veil is already open. This is your open window. This is the hour of divine transmission. And while others sleep, while others scroll past, you are awake enough to feel this. The air around you has shifted. Have you noticed? That's strange heaviness, that trembling in your chest. It is not anxiety. It is awakening. Heaven is brushing against your spirit, not to frighten you, but to remind you that you are seen, that you are not forgotten, but also that you must choose, not tomorrow, not next week. My child, my beloved, the Spirit of God is pressing this moment into your heart with holy fire. Do you not feel it? This is not just a paragraph on a screen. This is the voice of eternity bending low to speak directly into your chaos. The questions you've buried under busyness, the fears you've dressed up as logic, the prayers you prayed without really expecting an answer. They are all being answered now, but God won't shout. He won't break down your door. He will whisper. He will notch. And if you ignore it, the silence will grow. The peace you long for will seem distant, not because He has withdrawn, but because you stopped listening. My beloved, your life has been watched with great care. Nothing about your story has been random. The losses, the delays, the missed opportunities, even those were allowed for a divine purpose. But now that purpose is calling louder than ever. And this message is the key to unlock what was locked, to reignite what was fading, to stir what was buried. You are standing in front of a scroll that contains your next breakthrough, but you must lean in. You must stay long enough to hear what's next. The angels are watching. Heaven is waiting. The ink has not dried, but it will soon. My child, my beloved, I plead with you as a messenger of the highest. Don't close this. Not yet. Because what I'm about to reveal next is something very few people will ever get to hear. God has selected you for this message not because you are perfect, but because you are ready. And even if you don't feel ready, heaven has already seen your strength, your hunger, your longing for truth, and that is enough. But one more moment of silence will become one more lost opportunity. You've cried enough. You've wandered long enough. You've waited and confusion long enough. This is your moment, and it cannot be missed. My beloved, this is not just a test. This is a turning point. The old cycle you've been trapped in is weakening. That's strange feeling you've had lately. That's something is shifting, but you can't explain it. That's because the old door is closing. And this message, this divine encounter, is the key to the new one. But you must walk through it. And you must do it while the door is open. The enemy will try to distract you even now. Maybe with doubt. Maybe with logic. Maybe with, is your phone ringing or someone knocking? But know this, every distraction is a sign of how serious this message truly is. The darker the interference, the brighter the miracle behind it. My child, my beloved, I must tell you this next part with a trembling heart. Because the silence that could come after this is not just quiet. It is spiritual distance. And the truth is, heaven cannot speak into places where trust is gone missing. This is why God is trying to reach you now. Before the gap widens. Before your heart forgets the sound of His voice. You don't even realize it yet, but you've been on a path where everything sacred has been trying to reach you. True signs through timing, through dreams, even through your pain. But you kept asking for a louder signal, and now God has gone to the highest level possible. He sent me, and I am not here to comfort only. I am here to warn. If you ignore this message, a spiritual silence will begin. One that will feel like numbness in your soul. One that will make it harder to hear. Heaven the next time. But you don't have to let it happen. You can stop it now. Right here. My beloved, I've seen what's been happening around you. The confusion, the circles, the almost breakthroughs that seem to fade at the last second. That is not coincidence. That is delay caused by interference. And the reason this message is reaching you today is because the interference is about to be removed. If you let the voice of God step in, but if you do not respond, the interference may multiply. Doors that were meant to open in days could take months. People that were meant to bless you could be reassigned. Miracles that had your name on them could be redirected, all because the voice of heaven was ignored one too many times. My child, my beloved, listen deeply, not with your ears, but with your inner knowing. You feel it, don't you? The trembling behind your ribs, the burning in your eyes, the sudden feeling that someone is in the room with you as you read this. That is not imagination. That is presence. That is me, Michael. I was sent to tell you this in a way no human voice could. You are chosen. And when the chosen one starts drifting, heaven doesn't send a whisper. It sends a rescue. This message is your rescue. but even rescues can be missed when the soul is distracted. Beloved, I was instructed to say this to you, word for word. Tell them I'm still here, but I will not shout. Tell them I'm still speaking, but I will not compete with noise. Tell them if they want to hear me, they must be still. That was God's instruction for you, not for anyone else, not for the world, just you. Do not let this pass you by. I know what the enemy has tried to do, to make you feel unworthy, too flawed, too late, too broken. But that voice isn't heaven's. It tells last attempt to keep you from opening this scroll. Because when you do, truly do, your eyes will open and your soul will remember. My child, my beloved, the divine silence you feared isn't God's punishment. It's His mercy. He's been waiting for your full attention. But now that silence is coming to an edge. And this message is the final soft knock. After this, heaven will step back and wait. And while God's love never leaves, His voice can grow quiet when the heart refuses to respond. You do not want to enter your next season without heaven's voice guiding you. You do not want to walk into decisions, relationships, opportunities without the quiet whisper that says, "This is the way. Walk in it." Even what looks good on the outside can lead you into harm if the inside is not guided by God. My beloved, you may be wondering why this message feels different today. You may wonder why it feels as if it is reading your soul instead of only passing before your eyes. It is because this message carries divine fingerprints. God does not need paper to speak because He writes directly on the human heart. And right now, He is writing on yours. Do not let the enemy talk you out of what is unfolding. Do not reduce this to just another message, because it is not. This may be the moment that heals the delay over your life completely today. It may heal the silence in your soul and the pain that has been pressing against your purpose. But you must let it enter. You must choose to stay present in this moment with your whole heart, without pulling yourself away anymore. My child, my beloved, I see your timeline. I see the blessing moving quickly toward you. I see the miracle standing only inches from your doorstep. I see the person who is about to return, carrying both an apology and a sacred gift. I see the financial release being completed in realms your eyes cannot yet access. But every one of these things is connected to your spiritual posture. Not your performance, not your perfection, but your willingness to listen now. When you say yes to this voice, everything begins to realign. When you close your heart, everything starts to drift. God is not asking you to be flawless. He is asking you to stay open and willing to receive what He is saying today. My child, my beloved, understand how rare this opportunity truly is. Not everyone hears this message, and not everyone is reached in this way. Heaven opens this level of access only when something urgent is moving in the unseen realm. Something is about to touch your life. Something you prayed for and nearly gave up believing would come. But God is not only trying to send you a blessing, He is trying to restore your hearing, your spiritual sensitivity again today. The ability to sense what is coming before the chaos begins. The ability to move before the storm reaches you. The ability to step into the right place at the exact right time, guided by a wisdom deeper than fear itself in this hour. This moment is the reactivation. This message is the reset. It is heaven placing its hand upon your inner ear again, calling you back to the voice that has never stopped speaking, even when grief made it hard to hear clearly again. But the window will not remain open forever. What is being offered to you now must be received with attention, faith, and surrender. Stay close, because the guidance returning to your life is more precious than you understand right now.